Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that's part wonder, part adventure, and a whole lot of capybara. Imagine this: a young boy named Leo, armed with a sketchbook and an insatiable curiosity, ventures into the woods behind his house. A place he thought he knew like the back of his hand. But on this particular afternoon, something was different. Deep within a grove of ancient, moss-covered trees, where sunlight struggled to pierce the canopy, he found it. A gate. It wasn't made of iron or wood, but seemed woven from living branches and glowing vines, humming with a soft, ethereal light. It pulsed gently, like a sleeping heart, and a strange citrusy scent wafted from beyond it. Driven by an impulse he couldn't explain, Leo pushed aside a curtain of glowing moss, took a deep breath, and stepped through. The world on the other side was a dizzying blur of color and light. Leo felt a sensation like falling through water, a gentle tumbling disorientation. When he opened his eyes, the familiar forest was gone. He was lying on his back in a vast, sun-drenched prairie, under a sky of the most brilliant turquoise he had ever seen. The grass was impossibly soft, like velvet, and dotted with flowers that glowed with their own internal light. Giant, orange-like fruits hung from strange, spiraling trees, and the air, it was warm, humid, and filled with the gentle, contented chirps of unseen creatures. As Leo sat up, blinking in the bright sun, a large furry creature ambled toward him. It was a capybara, but bigger than any he'd seen in his books, with a calm, almost wise expression in its dark, gentle eyes. It blinked slowly at him, chewed thoughtfully on a blade of grass, and then nudged his hand with its wet nose, as if to say, "Welcome." Leo, feeling a strange sense of calm, followed his new furry guide. Over a gentle rise in the prairie, he saw it, a village unlike any other. It was a bustling community of capybaras. Huts shaped like giant gourds were nestled into the landscape, connected by smooth stone pathways. Some capybaras were meticulously weaving baskets from river reeds, their little paws moving with surprising dexterity. Others were lounging in natural hot springs, steam rising around their placid faces, with smaller capybaras playfully splashing nearby. A group of them were carefully tending to a garden of giant vegetables, their movements slow and deliberate. It was a scene of perfect harmony and tranquility. The elder capybara, distinguished by a wreath of white flowers around its head, approached Leo. It made a series of soft clicks and rumbles. And though Leo couldn't understand the words, the meaning was clear. He was a guest here, and he was safe. But as the 3 moons of this strange world began to rise, casting a silvery glow over the village, a chill crept into the air. A shadow, long and unnatural, fell over the capybara huts. It was a gaunt, dark figure, moving with a jerky, disjointed gait. It wasn't a capybara. It was something else entirely. A being of pure darkness, with glowing red eyes that seemed to drink the light around them. The capybaras, once so calm, scattered in panic, their peaceful chirps turning into squeaks of alarm. The shadow creature let out a low hiss, a sound that felt like scraping stone, and pointed a long, shadowy finger directly at the village's central spring, the source of their life and tranquility. The water began to cloud over, turning murky and grey. The joyous atmosphere of the village evaporated, replaced by a palpable sense of fear and despair. As the shadow receded back into the encroaching darkness, the village elder led Leo to the central hut. Inside, resting on a pedestal of woven reeds, was a small teardrop-shaped artifact. It was a gem, the color of a new spring leaf, and it pulsed with a gentle, warm light. The elder nudged the gem, then looked at Leo with pleading eyes. Leo understood. This was the green drop, the heart of the capybara world. Its light was fading, corrupted by the shadow's touch. The elder communicated through a series of gestures. The artifact needed to be purified at a sacred temple, a place of immense power. The journey would be dangerous, but Leo was their only hope. His heart, pure and untainted by this world's despair, was key. With a deep breath and a new sense of purpose, Leo carefully took the green drop. It felt warm in his palm, a fragile beacon of hope against the growing darkness. With the fading green drop clutched tightly in his hand, Leo and a small brave capybara guide plunged into the forest as night fell. This wasn't the peaceful woods from before. It was a labyrinth of thorny vines and menacing twisted trees whose branches looked like grasping claws. Hissing sounds echoed from the darkness, and pairs of glowing red eyes blinked from the undergrowth. The shadow creature was hunting them. They could hear its unnatural scraping footsteps getting closer. The chase was frantic. They scrambled over mossy logs, ducked under low-hanging branches, and waded through glowing streams. Leo's guide, despite its fear, was nimble and sure-footed, finding paths Leo would have missed. At one point, the shadow lunged from behind a tree, its clawed hand swiping just inches from Leo's back. They tumbled down a muddy embankment, the green drop's light flickering dangerously, and hid in the hollow of an ancient tree, their hearts pounding in unison as the shadow stalked past, its angry hisses echoing through the night. Just as they thought they were cornered, Leo's guide let out a low rumble and pointed its nose toward a cliff face. At first, all Leo could see was a massive waterfall, a thundering curtain of water cascading into a moonlit pool below. But as he looked closer, he saw it, a hidden ledge, almost completely obscured by the spray. This was it. With the shadow's hisses growing louder behind them, they made a final dash. Holding their breath, they leaped through the roaring wall of water. The sound was deafening, the force of the water immense, but for a moment they were shielded. On the other side was a dry cave, leading into a vast, silent chamber. In the center of the cavern, illuminated by phosphorescent moss, stood an ancient temple, carved directly into the rock. Intricate carvings of capybaras and swirling patterns covered its surface. A stone altar sat at its heart, with a depression perfectly matching the shape of the green drop. As Leo approached the altar, a chilling hiss echoed from the cave entrance. The shadow creature emerged from the waterfall, water sizzling and turning to steam as it touched its dark form. It was no longer just a shadow. It had coalesced into a monstrous being of solidified darkness, its red eyes burning with rage. It lunged, not at Leo, but at his capybara guide, trapping it in a cage of dark energy. The creature then turned its attention to Leo, its form twisting and growing, preparing for a final, devastating attack. Leo knew he had no weapons, no way to fight this thing directly. His only hope was the green drop. He placed the gem onto the altar, pouring all his hope, his courage, and his memory of the peaceful capybara village into it. He had to protect this world. The moment the green drop touched the altar, the temple erupted in light. Brilliant green energy surged from the artifact, engulfing the entire cavern. The shadow creature shrieked as the pure, life-giving light struck it. It was like watching darkness dissolve in the sun. The light pushed it back, its form wavering and becoming translucent. The creature thrashed, trying to fight the overwhelming power, but it was no use. The carvings on the temple walls began to glow, adding their own ancient energy to the surge. With a final agonizing howl that was swallowed by the light, the shadow creature dissolved completely, leaving behind nothing but a puff of black smoke and the lingering scent of ozone. The cage around Leo's guide vanished, and the little capybara, scurried to his side, nuzzling his leg. The green drop on the altar now pulsed with a strong, steady, and vibrant light, its purity restored. As they emerged from behind the waterfall, the first rays of a new dawn were breaking over the horizon. The sky was awash in pink and gold, and the world felt clean, fresh, and reborn. The green drop, now glowing brightly, sent pulses of healing energy across the land. The murky waters of the village spring cleared, the corrupted plants regained their color, and the very air seemed to sing with life. When Leo and his guide returned to the village, they were met with a chorus of joyous chirps. The capybaras gathered around, nuzzling them, their calm, happy demeanor restored. The elder presented Leo with a beautiful woven crown of glowing flowers, a symbol of their eternal gratitude. They feasted on giant sweet fruits, and Leo spent the morning playing with the young capybaras in the now crystal clear hot springs. A sense of profound peace settled over the valley, deeper and more joyful than before. As the sun reached its zenith, the elder capybara led Leo back to the place where he had first arrived. The mysterious, shimmering gate was waiting for him, its glow soft and inviting. It was time to go home. Leo knelt and gave his brave capybara guide a final, heartfelt hug. The entire village had gathered to see him off, their dark, gentle eyes filled with a wisdom and thanks that needed no words. He looked back one last time at the sun-drenched prairie, the quirky gourd huts, and the calmest, kindest creatures he had ever met. He would never forget them. With a final wave, he stepped back through the gate. He found himself back in the familiar forest, the afternoon sun casting long shadows. The gate of vines was gone, leaving only the ancient trees. But in his pocket, he found a single smooth, leaf-green stone, warm to the touch, a reminder that his incredible adventure was very, very real. And that's our story for today. What an amazing journey. It just goes to show that courage and kindness can overcome even the darkest of shadows. If you enjoyed this adventure into the world of capybaras, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.